The great news right now is that Biafran leaders Ekpa and Nnamdi Kanu have risen to global prominence worldwide. Some critics have emphasized the significance of Biafra's independence declaration on 2 December 2024 as a turning point in their struggle. The movement claims to have influence both in exile and in Biafran land, evidenced by the regular sit-at-home protests every Monday. The main objectives are delegitimizing the Nigerian government in Biafra land and legitimizing the Biafran government at home and abroad. The Biafra Liberation Army is essential in enforcing Biafra's independence, but internal sabotage allegedly weakened their operations. The Nigerian government and internal enemies are accused of spreading misinformation and working to undermine the Biafran government. The movement insists there is only one legitimate Biafran government, led by Ekpa, and warns against divisions. Some former allies have allegedly switched sides or betrayed the movement, leading to infighting and propaganda. They criticized Nigeria government for corruption, exclusion of Biafrans, and suppression of dissent through violence. The movement presents Biafra as the sole remedy for Nigeria's insecurity, terrorism, and political instability. The movement aims to gain international recognition by highlighting Nigeria's failures and positioning Biafra as the only viable alternative. I want to share with you a story that has been unfolding over the past few weeks, one that I have found both compelling and thought-provoking. It is a story about the rise to global prominence of two influential figures from the Biafra independence movement. I am talking about the leaders Ekpa and Nnamdi Kanu, whose names have now echoed far beyond their homeland and captured the attention of people all over the world. When I first heard about their recent achievements, I was struck by the passion and conviction that seemed to fuel their every move. Their journey is not just about politics or territorial claims. It is about identity, history, and the deep-seated desire for self-determination. The story begins on a chilly winter day, on the 2nd of December in the year 2024, when the Biafra independence movement boldly declared its resurrection and independence. This was not a mere political maneuver or a symbolic gesture. It was a turning point that the movement's supporters believed would alter the course of their struggle forever. I remember sitting by my window that day, the cold seeping through the panes, and feeling a mix of hope and apprehension as news channels and online platforms buzzed with the news of the declaration. It felt as though the whole world was being called to witness a historic moment, one where the aspirations of the Biafra people were finally being voiced. The declaration was more than just words on paper. It represented a commitment to change, a determination to challenge the status quo, and a clear rejection of the long-standing political and economic exclusion that many in the southeastern region of Nigeria had endured. The leaders of the movement, including Ekpa and Nnamdi Kanu, believed that the Nigerian government had, for far too long, ignored the grievances of the Biafra people. They argued that corruption, systemic injustice, and a blatant disregard for the rights of the local population had pushed them to the edge. As I listened to various broadcasts and read articles on the subject, I couldn't help but feel a deep empathy for those who had suffered under a regime that seemed indifferent to their plight. One of the most striking aspects of this story is the way the movement has managed to maintain a connection with both its people in exile and those still residing in what is known as Biafra land. Every Monday, supporters hold sit-at-home protests, a peaceful yet powerful form of civil disobedience that sends a clear message. The people are still here, they still hold the power, and they are not willing to be ignored. I have seen photos and videos of these protests, and what really moved me was the unity and resilience on display. Families gather on their doorsteps, neighbors speak in hushed but determined tones, and even the older generation, who have witnessed decades of turmoil, stand shoulder to shoulder with the youth. This is a community that refuses to be sidelined, that demands recognition and respect for their identity. The movement's objectives are clear and uncompromising. At its core, the declaration aims to delegitimize the government of Nigeria in the territory of Biafra, while simultaneously legitimizing a new Biafran government, not only at home but on the global stage as well. This dual strategy, rejecting the existing Nigerian state structure while asserting a new order, has not been without controversy. There have been heated debates, both in public forums and behind closed doors, about the best way to achieve these objectives. Some critics argue that the path chosen by the movement might lead to further division and conflict, while supporters counter that the status quo has already done enough harm and that bold action is the only way forward. In the midst of all these developments, the role of the Biafra Liberation Army has become a subject of intense discussion. This armed wing of the movement was created to enforce the Declaration of Independence and to protect the interests of the Biafra people. However, there have been serious allegations of internal sabotage, with some insiders accused of undermining the operations of the Liberation Army. These accusations have not only complicated the military aspect of the movement, but have also led to internal strife, with former allies reportedly switching sides or engaging in infighting. As I read more about these internal conflicts, I was reminded of how even the noblest of causes can be tainted by personal ambition and factional disputes. It is a painful reminder that the struggle for self-determination is often as much an internal battle as it is a fight against external adversaries. The Nigerian government, for its part, has been accused of engaging in a widespread campaign of misinformation. Various reports suggest that the government, along with certain internal enemies of the movement, has been actively working to undermine the Biafran cause. Propaganda is being spread to discredit the newly declared Biafran government and to paint the movement as nothing more than a chaotic, unorganized rebellion. I found it particularly disheartening to learn that some of these efforts include the deliberate use of misleading information intended to confuse both local citizens and the international community. It seems that in the battle for legitimacy, both sides are willing to use every tool at their disposal, be it force or the power of words. There is a particularly stirring moment in one of the broadcasts I watched, where a speaker, identified only as a representative of the movement, spoke with passion and clarity about the significance of the declaration. The speaker argued that the movement is not merely in exile, rather, it holds a strong presence in the homeland itself. Every time there is a sit-at-home protest or a declaration of civil disobedience, the people of Biafra demonstrate that they are not absent from their land. This idea resonated deeply with me because it challenges the narrative that the movement is disconnected from its roots. Instead, it asserts that the struggle is very much alive on the ground, that the people are in control, and that their voices are being heard despite all odds. The narrative also took a rather intense turn when the speaker described how the enemy, in this case those who support the Nigerian government, has been trying to undermine the movement. The enemy's strategy, as explained by the speaker, involves launching military operations and terrorist activities in an attempt to force the movement to change its stance. It is a grim picture, one where violence is used as a tool of repression, and it underscores the high stakes involved in this struggle. The speaker warned that any attempt by the enemy to use force against the people would only serve to strengthen the resolve of the Biafra independence movement. I could not help but feel a surge of admiration for the courage of those who are willing to stand up in the face of such threats. As the narrative unfolded, it became clear that one of the central messages of the movement is the insistence that there is only one legitimate Biafran government. This government, led by Simon Ekpa, is portrayed as the sole representative of the Biafra people's aspirations and grievances. The movement has been very explicit in its stance, warning against any divisions or attempts to create splinter groups. This emphasis on unity is crucial, especially given the internal challenges the movement faces. The speaker's message was unambiguous. In order for the struggle to succeed, every supporter, every voice must be aligned behind the single, recognized leadership. I found myself reflecting on the importance of unity in any movement for change, and how internal discord can easily undermine even the most righteous cause. There were also moments in the broadcast where the speaker addressed accusations and counter-narratives coming from within the movement itself. Some individuals had claimed that certain audio recordings were outdated or misrepresented, suggesting that the Declaration of Independence was not as recent or as definitive as it was being portrayed. The speaker dismissed these claims with a mix of frustration and disbelief, arguing that such distractions were nothing more than attempts to sow confusion and weaken the movement. He went on to say that anyone who doubted the authenticity of the declaration was simply not paying attention or was caught up in personal grievances. This part of the narrative was particularly striking because it revealed the internal tensions that can arise when there is so much at stake. It was a moment that underscored the reality that even within a movement fighting for freedom, there can be rivalries and disputes over who gets to define the future. Throughout the broadcast, there was a recurring theme of using history as both a reference point and a guide for the future. The speaker drew parallels between the Biafra Declaration and the founding moments of other nations, such as the American Revolution in 1776. He argued that just as the founders of the United States listed their grievances against the British government and declared their independence, the Biafra movement was doing something similar in its own context. This comparison, while not without its controversies, served to remind the listeners that the fight for self-determination is a timeless one. It is a struggle that has been waged in many parts of the world, and one that continues to inspire people to stand up against oppression. I found this historical perspective both comforting and galvanizing, as it placed the current events within a broader context of human aspiration for freedom and justice. As I continued to follow the developments, I was struck by the sheer scale of the challenges facing the movement. The Nigerian government, with its vast resources and established power structures, has been waging its own campaign of legitimacy. There are reports of internal sabotage, of former allies switching sides, and of deep-seated rivalries that threaten to splinter the movement. Yet, in the face of these obstacles, the leaders remain defiant. They continue to press forward with their plan to delegitimize the Nigerian state in the territory of Biafra and to promote the idea that a new, independent Biafra is the only viable solution to the region's long-standing problems. This determination is both admirable and frankly a bit daunting. It is not easy to challenge an entrenched power structure, and doing so requires not only courage, but also an unyielding commitment to one's principles. One of the aspects of the story that I found particularly compelling was the way the movement sought to reach out to the international community. There is a clear desire to gain recognition and support beyond the borders of the region, to position Biafra as a legitimate and independent entity on the world stage. This international outreach is seen as a critical step in delegitimizing the Nigerian government's claim over the territory. The movement's supporters are working tirelessly to get their message across, using every available platform, from social media and online videos to international conferences and diplomatic channels. I remember reading about how delegates were being sent to various international bodies and letters were being written to influential figures around the world. It was a concerted effort to show that the Biafra independence movement was not just a local uprising, but a global phenomenon with far-reaching implications. As the days passed, I could sense that the movement was entering a critical phase. The initial declaration had stirred up a lot of excitement and support, but it had also provoked a strong reaction from those who opposed it. The Nigerian government and its allies were not standing idly by. They were actively trying to reassert their control and undermine the progress that had been made. I recall a moment when I was reading a detailed analysis of the situation, and the author spoke of the delicate balance between maintaining momentum and avoiding the pitfalls of internal division. It was a reminder that every movement, no matter how noble its cause, is vulnerable to the corrosive effects of infighting and external interference. For me, it underscored the importance of staying informed and engaged, of not allowing oneself to be swayed by either propaganda or internal squabbles. In the midst of all these complexities, one message remained crystal clear. The struggle for Biafra is about more than just political maneuvering. It is about addressing a deep history of marginalization, about righting centuries-old wrongs, and about forging a future where the people of the region can finally have control over their destiny. The grievances that have been cited over the years, the corruption, the exclusion from economic opportunities, the systemic injustices, are all part of a larger narrative that has fueled the call for independence. I was moved by the passion with which these grievances were presented, as if every injustice, every act of neglect, was a step towards the final, decisive moment of liberation. It is a story of resistance and resilience, of a community that has endured too much pain to remain silent any longer. There is also a poignant human element to this story that cannot be overlooked. Behind the political rhetoric and the grand declarations lie the lives of ordinary people who have been affected by decades of conflict and neglect. I have spoken with friends and acquaintances from the region, and their stories are filled with both sorrow and hope. They speak of families torn apart by violence, of opportunities lost to systemic discrimination, and of a collective yearning for a fresh start. A new chapter where they are no longer defined by the scars of the past. When I hear these personal stories, I am reminded that political movements are not just abstract ideas or grand strategies. They are lived experiences that shape the destiny of real human beings. It is this human aspect that makes the struggle for Biafra so deeply compelling, and it is what continues to drive its supporters to press on, despite the odds. Over time, the movement has also had to contend with the fallout from internal disagreements. There have been bitter disputes over strategy and leadership, with some former allies accusing others of betraying the cause.
Southeasterners and the Southerners, we cannot become, and Biafrans we must be. What are the declaration of the 2nd December meant to achieve? At least it is no longer a question of uncertainty. It is no longer a question of whether we are unsure. But I believe the message of the Declaration of the Restoration of Independence State of Biafra on the 2nd of December 2024 has penetrated even to the bone marrow of the enemies. So the question, and the big question is, what do we intend to achieve? They have mocked us that we are in exile. But what the truth that they are not telling themselves is that we are not only in exile. We are actually more in the homeland than what we are in exile. The truth they refuse to tell, which they continue to deceive themselves, is that every blessed Monday in Biafra land, we demonstrate that we are not just in exile. We also control the homeland. The truth they have not told you is that whenever we issue any declaration on either civil disobedience or the forceful lockdown of the Nigerian state institution in Biafra land, like we have declared from the 28th day of this August to the 26th of September, those who call us government, those who say we are in exile, will start crying. They will start all manner of propaganda, panicking, sending military terrorists in our land to try to, see whether we can change our mind, thinking that by killing our people, the pressure will, force us to change our mind. These are the things that they are not telling those gullible, idiot criminals in Nigeria that are believing in one Nigeria just because they have found themselves in a safe haven where they can commit crimes, international crimes and cyber crimes, and they will be bragging in their various communities for making money through crime. So they lie to themselves that, oh, don't listen to him, they are just in exile. Yet, each time we make any pronouncement, it becomes a problem to them. So the big question is, what do we intend to achieve from the 2nd of December? My supporters in the United States, Biafrans in the United States, we have at least 2 objectives. We want to achieve 2 things from this 2nd of December declaration. These 2 things are the delegitimization of the Nigeria state within Biafra land and the legitimization of Biafra government within Biafra land and beyond.
Very, very important. One of the most important assignments that we have is delegitimization of Nigerian government in Biafran territory and legitimization of Biafran government in the homeland and beyond. What are you seeing that is happening today? When you look at the project of the United States of Biafra, led by Dr. Ngozi Orebeze, what are you seeing? What you can see clearly is the legitimization of Biafran government home and abroad. That is why you see her appearing on different fora, speaking on different platforms, sending delegates and writing letters to the bodies that matters. And when it comes to the delegitimization of Nigeria in Biafran territory, it has everything to do with the Liberation Army. They have a major role to play. And that was where the enemy attacked. That was where the enemy attacked. And ask yourself, why is it that within that period that the enemy entered into the territory of the Liberation Army, they had no force, they were doing nothing? Those who claimed they were working for you, they entered there and they put a stop to the activities of the Liberation Army. The Liberation Army were no longer taking actions. They were no longer intervening in issues. They set that confusion, and the government of Biafra, knowing fully well that this is one of the projects we have at hand, immediately after the declaration, the legitimization of Nigerian government and legitimization of Biafran government. These enemies, they embark on delegitimization of Biafran government and legitimization of Nigerian government. I mean the enemies. Instead of engaging in delegitimization of Nigerian government, they began to legitimize Nigerian government. While the United States of Biafran government under Dr. Ngozi Orebeze was trying to legitimize Biafran government, they were doing everything possible to see that this thing that Mazi Samuel spoke about here, legitimization of Biafran government, the United States of Biafra that was declared on 29, instead of legitimizing it, which is what Mazi Samuel said here, some people ganged up themselves and they began to delegitimize the Biafran government, which was what we are supposed to do. Legitimizing government, that is what we are supposed to do. After the declaration, Mazi Samuel made it clear here, after the declaration, that we embark on legitimization of the Biafran government and delegitimization of Nigerian government. But the enemies came in and they turned it around. They began to delegitimize Biafran government and legitimize Nigerian government. How did they do it? They did it by attacking the government of the United States of Biafra that was declared on the 29th of November 2024. And they came on the ground to legitimize the Nigerian government by disrupting the men on the ground, causing confusions, and to make sure that the men on the ground do not have the kind of force they're supposed to have. They were acting opposite. And so many of us were not paying attention, either because of what their personal gain, or because of their friend, or out of ignorance, they were not paying attention. But we had an information already kept for us on what to do after declaration. Look at what you do. Pursue delegitimization of Nigerian government to make sure they move far from every inch. And again, project Biafran government to the world. Legitimize it home and abroad. While Dr. Ngozi Orabese was on that journey, the enemy were busy doing the opposite. But I thank you, that today they have been defeated hands down. Today they have been defeated and they have no place anymore. And they will never, ever, ever have any place anymore in this struggle. No matter how they try, they will never have any place. Because there is only one government. Only one government. And I thank you, that finally, the men on the ground have spoken. More especially from the camp where they planted their evil, using the name of one of the commanders. Finally, they got the response. And we will continue to play the response in case those who did not hear to hear and retrace their step and stop doing their evil.
Hello, Leo, go to Zakalaquamono, the Biafra, with a drone, Omundamala Biafra Calaquamono, Omundam, the Hamana Masia Calaquamono. I am not Lolia, we go to Tuza, Passam Cobosata Mana and Amma. I have information on water. The Candeji Ahamu and Meltoto. Sibukoya Memela. Sonya Devil, or Yameme, here based one government. And over to government Kayakwan, and the Otalaje Kana Churefi. Sibikoya Marabula Besia Kayangwa, Kahuni Han and Mena Gaga. And Naputuzo based in one government, and Gaputuzo believe Rukabia for Arabia. And then Bomu woman about Kihili line and Makoni Wishi. Sibiko and Naputuzo Anohana propaganda government, in him now in a USB government. One mind, one Biafra, and the other Alaja Kana Churefi. Because for those of you, Mandela use Aham, Mandela then Kana dead, Mandela Kunkale Kuku, Canona Lulu Potus and Apotus Ada way. I'm a quening Kemtiri, I'm a quening Kemdre. So him now will go Biafra, Biafra, Arabia. So because I come second Kawaron. I can't say I can quaron. Uzuma Rukoyun to our new Quaka, Rukoyan Taka. We must fight to get Biafra. We must fight to restore Biafra. Which I am and they believe women they declare great the state of Biafra. So in Hama Gerumaka Gerumai, Kameru Guam, and Zodiki Biamna Adebo, Udo Durun and Yamakon. A contribution on the Kaisa Maya number, Kasuko to our Maya, Kashi de Maurade. Kongus Waran York. We move forward. Kawiki Maya, Katin Sisede, Oda Baram, Oda Bakwaron. Women on Grand. I could not Kusi, I could be a France and Azo. So we ensure that we must get Biafra. So Naputuzo, Anakwa, Neben, Eja Hamako, and Mammy him, my way him what Raja Hamako, but in him now, on your Boloso Yaburuja Ham, one new Kunka Equesia Pico, that stop war, our Pafa. Because so that all one chain and command, one order, we must follow one order. The copy of Musiri Kuya, one channel command. So, Udo drone. Nde one. Daga Zikwera no Monam. Butuzo's back again.
You have just heard from Butuzo. The person that just spoke now is Butuzo. And he has made it clear that he is back. But do you know that the shameless ones went online and they begin to say that this audio is an old audio? That is how shameless these people are. The deceivers. I saw one of them post and he wrote that our Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Ngozi Oreboweze, went and took an old audio that was made before declaration. That was exactly what that idiot wrote. He said that this audio was before declaration. Is it that he doesn't understand Igbo? Or he didn't read? Even if you don't understand Igbo, the translation is in English. If you don't believe the translation, you look for somebody to translate for you. In that audio, Butuzo recognized and said that the United States of Biafra has been declared. But that clown was saying that this very audio was made before declaration. Is it because he doesn't understand Igbo? Or because his wickedness, envy, and jealousy could not allow him to listen properly? He has an ear problem. Because even if you don't understand Igbo, the very word was translated in English. And he can equally get someone to translate. There are many Igbo people surrounding him, even if he doesn't understand Igbo. But he went ahead to deceive himself. In an audio where the speaker said that Biafra has been declared, Butuzo made it clear, Biafra has been declared. And he talked about people using his name to say this and say that. People who are writing on his name. All this say this and say that and writing started after the declaration. The audio is very, very clear. And I bet you the Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Ngozi Oreboweze, will not descend so low to play the kind of dirty games they are playing. She will not descend so low to behave the way they are behaving by using a propaganda or whatever. What for? What for? We don't need it. Even without this audio, we know what to do. We can move ahead without it. Even without the audio, without Dr. Ngozi Oreboweze releasing the audio, if Biafra struggle can contribute, can go to work. It's just for the sake of those ones that have flimsy minds. But to see how idiotic they are, they still went ahead to tag the audio an old audio. That is how shameless. And you still see people believing them. You still see people sitting down and listening to these clowns. I can't imagine. And I bet you it is not charm or juju, nothing. It is a sheer stupidity. Those that are following them, they are as stupid as they are. The people following them and listening to them are as stupid as they are. If not, how could somebody on audio that the person that made the audio stated clearly when the audio was made, through that very statement he made, he said, Biafra has been declared and we have only one government. Biafra has been declared and we have only one government. And yet, somebody shamelessly come out and tell you, oh, the audio is good. It is really, really sad and shameful. I pity those who are still paying attention. We said it's not going to last for too long. How many months now? It's not going to last for too long. And the truth will be out and all of them will go disappear to thin air, just like their fellow comrades have disappeared. It is sad. that people we started the race with, all of a sudden they drop out and begin to behave like idiots. People that I have stood on the same platform with, and we did joint broadcast. Today, you see them talking from the other side of their mouth. One of them, even when he was fighting against Mazi Simon Ekpa, then I wasn't in their media, but I was broadcasting, independent broadcaster, that was I was, defending the government. When they were fighting against Mazi Simon Ekpa, I was an independent broadcaster, defending Mazi Simon Ekpa in all platforms. When he was driven away, he came to my own platform to challenge me. He came to my platform and he challenged me and said that I will see how Mazi Simon Ekpa will end. It's not a secret. It is on the video is still online. I didn't delete it. Then I was broadcasting on David Harbour channel on my page. I was broadcasting on my page then in King David Exploit Expose Facebook page. King David Exploit Expose. He came and challenged. Then nobody want to admit me into their program. He cannot have that confidence to go to anybody's platform. It was in my platform he came. I saw him comment on the comment section. I sent him link to comment. I brought him in and we spoke. He challenged me that I will see how Mazi Simon Ekpa in. I will see how everything will end. And at the end of the day, it ended. And today again, the same person is falling out again. What does that tell you? The same person is falling out again. It is sad and painful. I don't wish that kind of thing to be happening to anybody, not my fellow comrade. I don't wish to see them on such kind of disgraceful mood. I don't like to see them descending in such a low state that they cannot be able to rise anymore. In such a shameful state that they cannot even be able to open mouth and say sorry anymore. It is sad, but it is what it is. We must continue. There is only one government of the United States of Biafra. Only one government, and every one of us must always have that at the back of our mind. There is only one government.
You know that the COS does not know. If you decide there's something you know. Oh. Yeah, thank you so much. Let me quickly add to Biafran.
There is only one government. And the earlier you understand that, the better for all of us. If you do not understand that, you are hurting yourself. You are hurting yourself.
Message? Biafran men and women hear that ugly.
Every one of us must continue to pay attention and support the government of the United States of Biafra under Dr. Ngozi Oravweze. That is the right way to go. It does not matter how you feel. It does not matter what you think. Your propaganda and your blackmail cannot change anything. There is only one government of the United States of Biafra, and there is where your loyalty should lie.
Only one. Under his leadership, His Excellency Simon Ekpa. Anybody that is confusing anyone or telling you there is another, no, there is nothing. There's just one, recognized by His Excellency Simon Ekpa. And we can pray. Once he has that communication, Biafrans, we understand that Obato Obie does not take no crap from nobody. No matter who you are, you must respect that authority. That authority.
You have heard it. Only one government, and this is the government that Mazi Simon told us that after the declaration, we will continue to legitimize this government, the United States of Biafra government, and we delegitimize the Zoological Republic government in our territory. Today, while we are chasing the legitimization of United States of Biafra government and delegitimization of Nigerian government, some other criminals are legitimizing Nigerian government and delegitimizing Biafran government. What a shame. Even though they were there, Even in the cabinet meeting, they were there when everything was put in order. They are part of the cabinet. They had the instruction directly from Mazi Simon Ekpa. It's not that someone else told them. They had it and they saw it. They sat on the same place with Mazi Simon Ekpa, and yet they went ahead to do different things altogether. It is a shame.
Our declaration will cover all grievances against Nigeria. The injustices against Biafra people by the Nigerian state, the harms suffered by the Biafra people within Nigeria. This has a standard way of delegitimizing Nigeria as an existing state, and of course, legitimizing Biafra as a new independent state. These grievances, the Biafra government have constituted a committee called the Declaration Drafting Committee that is putting and penning down every grievances we have against Nigeria. And there is the latest one, which is the student loan. Many of you have seen in the news that they have approved a student loan from every geopolitical zone, but they excluded Southeast, part of Biafra. That is technically accepting partially the declaration that is coming on 2nd of December. They are already telling us to go. But what they have refused to understand is that they don't define our map. We define our map. It is not them. They are still using the colonial mentality of giving them the demography, changing the demography for them. This is 21st century, where the people are wise and we know our boundaries. We know our land. You don't tell us where our land is and come from Yoruba land to tell us where your boundary ends, or come from the Fulani Caliphate to tell us where your boundary end, our boundary end. No, that was then, during the time of Usman Danfodio and during the time of Babangida, where you use your military degree to do whatever you want. This time around, it is not going to work like that. We know our boundary. Our boundary has been defined by the Biafra government. Our states and institutions has also been put in place by the Biafra government. So our declaration is going to state very clearly the grievances we have against Nigeria, why Biafra has come to become a remedy. Now, I use instances always, making references to the United States. Just as in the 1776 of the U.S. Declaration, when they become a new state, then they presented this particular new state of the United States as the only remedy, the listed grievances for them to declare the independence of the United States. Biafra will be presented to the world as the only remedy to the insecurity that Nigeria has created.
Did you hear it? We must always present Biafra as the only remedy to the insecurity that Nigeria has created. Biafra should be presented as the only remedy to the insecurity that Nigeria has created. This is the message we are supposed to be preaching. The only solution, the only remedy to the atrocities in Nigeria, to the loss of life in Nigeria, the only remedy is Biafra. That is the message we are supposed to be preaching to the world, and not coming to X or any platform to attack your brother or your sister. Not coming to program to come and attack the government of Biafra. We are supposed to be presenting Biafra as the only remedy. How can you present Biafra as a remedy when you are attacking the same government of Biafra? How can you present Biafra as the only remedy when all you are doing is against what the Biafran people stands for. How can you present Biafra as the only remedy when all you do is to find fault in every single thing the government of the Biafra is doing? How can you present Biafra as a remedy when all you know is to attack the leadership of the Biafran people? Biafra remains the only remedy to what is happening in Nigeria. I want you to hear it once again from our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ekpa.
As the only remedy to the insecurity that Nigeria has created, inquest will be presented to the world as the only remedy to the insecurity of the United States. Biafra will be presented to the world as the only remedy to the insecurity that Nigeria has created, in quest to bring the Islamization of Nigeria, and of course, that turn Nigeria into Islamic State of the United States. Biafra will be presented to the world as the only remedy to the insecurity that Nigeria has created, in quest to bring the Islamization of Nigeria, and of course, that turn Nigeria into Islamic State. We are going to present Biafra government as a remedy to the United States, to the West, and to every other world power that cares to know. Part of the grievances will be the killings by the terrorists and the high-level corruption and political crisis that Nigeria has found itself today, without any solution. Since the last election, which the European Union condemned, which the United Nations condemned, which the America condemned, and faulted everything that has to do with the result of the last election. Yet, they are recognizing the criminal who called himself Tinubu as the president. Because Nigerians are stupid. Nobody rise up against, because everybody have been captured and enslaved with terrorism. If you do the killing, they assassinate you. That's why many of them are bragging. Whenever we talk, they say, Samanaka, come to Nigeria so we believe you. Do you know why? Because they think that we are going to be as stupid as those people that have killed in the past. Kensaro Wiwa, should we start mentioning them? Anybody that rise up to challenge the impunity of the Nigerian state, the terrorist state, they eliminate the person. What is the other name? The Yoruba man, Gani Kfawemi or whatever he's called. He was assassinated. These are people who think they can make changes within the Nigerian state. It's impossible. Even this criminal called Tinubu, he ran away. He would have been killed by the military administration then, because he thought that he can move, have any political movement, to change whatever he want to change then, before he came back to become the governor. He ran away to exile, and probably France, because I know he has a very good relationship with people in France. Now, just like the United States, we are going to present Biafra after 2nd of December as the only remedy to the political crisis in Nigeria today. We will present Biafra as the only remedy to the upsurge of terrorists in the Sahel. I am telling you, nobody will see what we are doing today as a government in exile and don't give us that particular opportunity. We have proven beyond reasonable doubt that as Nigeria as a failed state, the only remedy that will save the life of people and also save the interests of the West, because no matter how you want to say it, we still have to protect the interests of the West, which goes a very long way in making sure that our society still remain in a sane society, both in conflict-wise, insecurity-wise, national security, and what have you. So, Nigeria no longer function as a law-governed state, capable of resolving its current political and economic crisis. My people of Biafra.
This one was shown in the court on Monday. Nigeria is no longer capable of governing or implementing law in its environment. Nigeria is no longer capable to run any firm. A very lawless country, a failed state, and we saw that just on Monday in the court. That was why you see Nnamdi Kanu stood up. Nnamdi Kanu stood up in the court and he lectured them in their own court. What transpired in the court is to show that Nigeria have lost it completely. Completely, Nigeria has lost everything that makes it a nation. They have lost the moral stance to do anything or to implement anything. You saw what transpired on Monday. Maybe you have forgotten. You know, some of us have a very short memory. And for those who cannot remember, let's see.
I'm not educated. I am an educated man. I can't show them the petition for the simple reason that if you show it,
what the judge said was that the case file
said today for the simple reason that she has no jurisdiction to try me, none whatsoever. I came out of courtesy and respect. She stands recused from my case and cannot try my case. There are things that are happening in this country that a lot of you do not know. It is my duty to make that very, very clear to all of you today, because the lies are too much. The lies are too much. I sent a petition to NJC. I don't want to talk about it. Justice Binta Nyako is using her position for personal gain. For personal gain. Her son and her husband are facing corruption charges. And they told them that if they convict me, this is what happens. You can see it. They don't want the truth to come out. Nobody wants the truth to come out. Nobody wants the truth to come out. Nobody wants the truth to come out in Nigeria. That's the problem. Who is that person? Corruption charges. They sent her to my case so they can release or smoothen the pathway for the husband and the son. They are facing, but it doesn't matter if they're off it. In a corrupt society, that's what happens. They are very, very corrupt. There is a breach of judicial oath. They have violated the judicial oath. They have shown bias according to Supreme Court. They are biased against me. Supreme Court said so. And that is why what is happening in the judgments and rulings concerning me has been happening. So, disobedience to Superior Court orders. Supreme Court said you are biased. You are against this man. You should not have revoked his bail. Nigeria went to Kenya and kidnapped him. These things are in the public domain. Why therefore are they insisting on trying me? A court order was entered. In that very court order, it was said very clearly and succinctly that she is no more. That she is no more going to try me. Why are they insisting? Why are they insisting? I ask. Because they have no case against me. They have no case against me, and they know it.
What you just saw here is what Mazi Simon Ekpa is speaking about. And Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have started his own action from their own court. When Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said, I will fight from the front, some of you do not understand. These two templates are the same. Mazi Simon Ekpa has said it. After the declaration, we will present Biafra to the whole world as the only solution to the insecurity, to the criminality in the zoo. We will legitimize Biafran government and delegitimize Nigerian government. After the declaration, which has happened on the 29th of November. And instead of those of us outside to hold on to this very project and go with it, some of them, they are busy delegitimizing Biafran government and legitimizing Nigerian government. That is what some idiots are doing. But look at our spirit leader. In the forefront, delegitimizing the Zoological Republic government and legitimizing Biafra, telling them it is my right to fight for Biafra in their front, in their own court. But you that is have your freedom, you forgot the plan that all of us sat in the cabinet and made with Mazi Simon Ekpa. And that is why I brought it today. as if you have forgotten that project. Maybe you just remember and you go back to where we are coming from.
To the political crisis in Nigeria today, we will present Biafra as the only remedy to the upsurge of terrorists in the Sahel. I am telling you, nobody will see what we are doing today as a government in exile and don't give us that particular opportunity. We have proven beyond reasonable doubt that as Nigeria as a failed state, the only remedy that will save the life of people and also save the interests of the West, because no matter how you want to say it, we still have to protect the interests of the West, which goes a very long way in making sure that our society still remain in a sane, we still remain in a sane society, both in conflict-wise, insecurity-wise, national security, and what have you. So, Nigeria no longer function as a law-governed state, capable of resolving its current political and economic crisis. My people of Biafra.
Did you hear that? When you saw what transpired in the court, this is just what Mazi Samuel was speaking about. And the only remedy that remains today that we should present to the world is Biafra. And Mazi Nnamdi Kanu kicked it off on Monday. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu kicked it off on Monday, telling them, it is my right to fight for self-determination, and that is why I'm here. Nigeria has failed. They are a lawless country. They don't have the strength and knowledge and wisdom to govern themselves. Nigeria is ungovernable. But some of us left this message and they are doing a different altogether. I pray that Chukwu will wake all of you up and we focus on what we are supposed to do. Yeah, welcome my beloved brother Max. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you and I welcome you to this very program. Go ahead and speak to us, my brother Max.
Thank you so much, Master, and good morning from my end. Good morning to all the people in the comment section, those that are commenting and those that are listening. I say, may God continue to bless you for your support, like and share. May God bless Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. May God bless you. I wrote on my timeline on Space that the criminal and the corrupt Nigerian judicial system is making a lion or a dragon out of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Hey, me pesa. Fakunjo no inside. Me are there. They say, so they have succeeded in making Mazi Nnamdi Kanu the dragon, the lion of our time. A fearless man. I do not know if I were in his shoe, if I would be this, if I can go on the tangent that he has gone, to blast them even in their court, blasting the senior advocates, so-called senior advocates of Nigeria, teaching them what they ought to have known that they don't know. Either they knew, but they don't want to apply them because of how corrupt the system is. I will not forget my leader, Mazi Simon Ekpa, Prime Minister, wherever he is. May God continue to see him through, strengthen him, make him stronger than he used to be. And we expect that God is going to bring him out to come and join his own people. That's exactly what my prayers are. I won't beg for them because they did not commit any crime. I can only beg for someone who committed a crime. They did not commit no crime. They are fighting against the injustices that are being meted out on the people of Biafra. Not just the people of Biafra, because the people of Biafra are on the stepping stone. They are the stepping stone. They are the testing ground for the world injustice since 1967 till today. The Biafran people has been the battleground for injustice. And we are resisting it. Our people are resisting it. It's quite a pity that it has taken a lot of life as well. But believe me, there is no justice anywhere that is rendered. There is no liberty that is rendered. There is no freedom that is gotten without the loss of lives. We must lose lives. But we pray that God will not make it, too much for us to bear. These are some of my prayers. These are my prayers. Let it not be, it can never be as worse as it has been, my people. The rest are short. If you look at what happened there, see, Nnamdi Kanu is not just fighting for the Biafran people. He is also fighting for Bintanyaku, who is being blackmailed. But do they have the discerning spirit to understand what Nnamdi Kanu is doing for them?
No, they don't.
The husband and the son is standing trial, corruption charges. They have now laid a bet for her, either to jail or convict Nnamdi Kanu, or the husband and the son will stand trial. Knowing fully well that there is nothing whatsoever against Nnamdi Kanu. Why will you convict an innocent person because you want your family to be free? That is gross injustice, judicial injustice. Using your position as a judge to convict an innocent person for your own personal gain, to save the head of your husband and your son. That is the worst thing any law officer will do. And that is what they are doing. They are using their position, knowing fully well how horrible and corrupt Nigeria is. They are using their position to fight the innocent, the just. And that is the reason why God is going to continue to expose them at any time, just like He has exposed them right now, under their own nose. Their noses, God has exposed them. God has done wonderful things. The world has seen the kind of manipulation, judicial manipulation that is going on in that country. Convict someone and free yourself. The same thing happened. Delefaro to me wrote, the criminal justice system of Nigeria. They came after him. They dragged him left, right, and center. But the man will never back down. The same thing you see happening here live. Nnamdi Kanu said he is going to go to Abuja. He is going to fight them and he is going to conquer them. He is fighting for those of them in those days that were saying, you are in London talking pata 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 cho online president, come back home and face Nigeria. He is there facing you and you don't even have an answer to all the questions that he has asked you people. Give him the answers. Give us the answers up to those questions that he has been throwing at you. Corrupt people, evil men and women in the realms of power, using it for their own aggrandizement. That is what they do. And we will continue to fight. We will continue to speak. The world will continue to hear us. And God Almighty will do the rest for us. Thank you, Mazitrix.
Thank you so much, my beloved brother Max. I appreciate you for that very line of thought. And dear friends that are watching us, I want every one of us to know that we have a responsibility today to support the United States of Biafra, led by Dr. Ngozi Orakwe, to unify every one of us and forge ahead for our victory. We have a very serious assignment, which Mazi Simon Ekpa himself have laid down. I just played the video. It's unfortunate that the people who were in the cabinet when this very arrangement were made today are pretending not to know, and they are doing opposite. Now, the ball is on our court. Every single one of us must align with the United States of Biafra government to support the government. The government is already on the right track, doing what they have to do. And you must support the government and be patient and follow on. The government is your government. And you gave that government to Mazi Simon Ekpa Njoko to manage for you. You entrusted the government in the hand of Mazi Simon. And Mazi Simon Ekpa, by his own self, chose people to work with him. And he gave somebody the surrogate to continue to run the affair of the government until he comes. The least we should do is to support the government of Mazi Simon Ekpa that I put in place. That government he promotes and supports. The least every one of us should do is to support that government and make sure that that government succeeds. Every single thing that the government have laid down must be supported. The government is online pursuing the legitimization of government of Biafra and delegitimization of Nigerian government. And for those of us who are not aware, I make that to show you an update that was posted on the platform of our Deputy Prime Minister. Also on the platform of the Minister for Information, Department of Information and Telecommunication. I want you to look at this document that was posted. And it reads, this document was posted is 1 hour ago. No, it's not 1 hour ago. Yeah, I think it should be 1 hour ago. The documents, it said, breaking. Biafra Republic government in exile has officially been dissolved. This dissolution coincides with the declaration of the United States of Biafra. With this move, the previous government structure in exile has been rendered obsolete. In case you don't get it, this is a Department of Information and Telecommunication. Now let us check the information also on the platform of our Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Ngozi Arabeze, on her own handle, so that you wouldn't be confused. The same information is on her platform. This is the information. And this was posted yesterday. I think it's about 9 hours ago. Yeah, 9 hours ago. It was posted. And let us read the information. It says, breaking. Briggy dissolved as USB is declared. For those of us who are not aware, and you are still talking about Briggy, you are still talking about government in exile, I want you to pay attention to this.
This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.